So our next speaker is Jeff Schiefelbein, and I'd like to introduce Jeff, who is a culture champion with an extensive track record of innovation, company startups, and growth. He is the co-founder and chief culture officer at Five, a national energy advisory firm that received numerous accolades, including 5 consecutive appearances on the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies list, and also received various best place to work accolades, including multiple listings on Texas Monthly's best place to work, and Fortune's best workplaces in America. Jeff earned his bachelor's degree in business administration from Texas A&M University with a focus on entrepreneurship. During college, he turned a big mistake into a major positive by creating Carpool, the nation's largest college safe ride program aimed at reducing drunk driving. And as a result of that work, Jeff was featured on ABC's Volunteers Across America, and he won numerous awards, including the National Daily Point of Light Award. Jeff advises several nonprofits while also serving as a motivational speaker and the host of a monthly Catholic radio show. So Jeff will be presenting Culture as a Catalyst for Quality. Welcome to the 2020 Houston Regional Conference, Jeff.
Thank you so much. And a quick mic check. Can you hear me okay before I get started?
Yeah, perfect.
So much. Let's start off with a story. Thank you for having me. But first, I'd like to introduce you to Shashi. Shashi is the Vice President of Finance and Accounting for our company, Five. Came to work for us several years ago and had moved to America from India in the early 2000s. In early 2020, January, February, Shashi decided to conquer his fear of public speaking. So he did what anyone should do, joined Toastmasters. And he was really starting to find his niche. And then, you all know what happened next, COVID. So knowing that Shashi had it in his heart to grow in this place that he struggled, we got to May and scheduled a speech, a TED-style speech in which Shashi was to speak about anything he wanted to with our entire company. Shashi ended up giving a talk about why he has 2 birthdays, pretty great story, and why he's afraid of public speaking. This 18-minute talk took our company on an emotional roller coaster. I watched as people leaned in, as they teared up, as they cheered, as they clapped throughout Shashi's story. This was an optional event. 43 people of our 60-person team showed up. They all put on T-shirts that have Shashi's face on it. Oddly enough, Shashi also wore a shirt with his own face on it. And in that 20-minute talk, which cost my company nothing more than a little bit of downtime to recharge, we were able to achieve something greater than if we would have brought in any outside firm to work on productivity. As a result, one of our brand new employees sent me a note and said, "I am so thankful that I have the opportunity to become a Fiver." One of our seasoned veterans sent me a note and said, "We could break every sales record that we have as a company. I would not be more proud than I am today, both of Shashi for being brave and vulnerable, but also the rest of the team for showing up and supporting Shashi." Today we're going to be talking about culture and how culture can be a catalyst for quality, to be intentional in order to achieve that. But first, I just want to challenge your thought process. The founder of Keller Williams wrote a book called The One Thing. He asked the question in this book, and it's a great read: what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will either be easier or unnecessary? I just propose for you today that building an incredible organizational culture is that one thing. If you do that one thing, that can take your quality to the next level. So as I was reflecting and preparing for today, I considered what perpetuates great quality. You have the right policies and procedures, and I'll tell you that most of the people on this call are experts in that and certainly have bigger expertise than I do. It also requires mentorship. It requires apprenticeship. It requires continuing education and motivation to be on the cutting edge of quality and of human connection, even what you're doing here today by being a part of this conference. Then also in my experience where I think I am an expert is how many times I've witnessed the breakdown in quality. I've seen it when employees become disengaged or overworked or resentful. I've seen it when people feel like they're in a constant fight mode and a protectionist mode and not in a collaboration mode. I see it when somebody is apathetic or lethargic, where they don't feel appreciated, where they feel unnecessary. I can predict the end of quality when I start hearing words like, "that's not my problem." And what echoes in there is that quality issues are on the horizon. Consider what the fruits are of a great company culture, that employees start to feel connected and respected and recognized. They feel heard, that you can create authentic human connection, that when you combine it with shared vision and with purpose, that employees eventually become a team and they start to align. When we're intentional about creating great teams, then we lead to highly engaged employees. Think about this for a second, that a highly engaged employee takes ownership, they're creative, they bring their highest energy to work, they take risks, appropriate risks, we want them to. They support each other and they feel supported, even when they have failure. They smile more often, they approach work with enthusiasm and optimism, worrying less about the clock, focusing more on the opportunity to help. That's when you get into solution mindsets, not problem mindsets. My question would be, what would quality look like in your organization if everyone was to bring their best self to work? But unfortunately, building great teams is really seen by a lot of people as just a result of circumstances, or maybe it's the byproduct of having just the right team members. I'm here to tell you that isn't the case. Great teams are the result of intentional strategy, and that you need to see what happens when you can help each team member to become the best version of themselves. So we're going to dive into 5 areas with a practical tip or 2 that can help to craft, in the most practical ways, a great team, starting the idea that words matter. That words have the power to build up. Words have the power to tear down. They can either be destructive or constructive. Makes me think of like a great crane, right? This instrument, this tool that can be used to construct buildings and go upwards towards the sky, and that same crane can be used for demolition. This is such a huge thing at our company, a company that is award-winning in its culture, that we have to be intentional with our words and practice by forming new muscle memories, not going back to whatever the next thing is that normal people say, but to transcend that and come up with a new narrative. So my best example for you is we realized 5 years ago that people were saying, "I don't care." Maybe somebody's giving me too many details, "I don't care," or they want me to make a decision, and I say, "I don't care." That's 3 syllables that is actually deflating them, that is demoralizing in the moment. They've done all this work, and I'm saying, "I don't care." What if I turned those same 3 words, 3 syllables into, "I trust you." And now I'm building them up, I'm lifting them up, and I'm helping to construct a new reality. We also avoid using extremes, right? We quit saying the words never and always, everyone and no one. Think about the phrases you've heard, "everyone is upset," versus something like, "I heard from 2 of our salespeople that they're upset. It was actually so-and-so and so-and-so." Now I can get specific, and my open and honest culture can stop a runaway narrative. Or what about if I said, "Oh, I can't stand so-and-so, they always interrupt me." I've now labeled them as something they can't break free from. But what if I said, "I struggle sometimes with so-and-so because they often interrupt me." Now I'm still in a dialogue. We're building something there. So we need to be intentional with our words and recognize that I don't think most people are actually trying to hurt somebody with their words. I think they're trying to play this neutral place of just sharing something that they think. But neutral is not uplifting. Neutral is on a continuum that certainly isn't trying to hurt somebody. But imagine if you were actually trying to take every opportunity to build people up, to give constructive feedback, to build together. So I would question to you, can you think of a change that you can make in your language starting today? And maybe take the one I just shared with you. I actually love telling people, if you have a spouse at home, go home and next time you want to say, "I don't care," try saying, "I trust you," and watch the change in their demeanor and the change in the relationship. Don't tell them that I just shared with you that when you say I trust you, used to mean I don't care. Don't share that detail. Let that just be between us here. Let's talk about the communication flip, a different way to approach communication. We're conditioned to use a path of least resistance. We start with email, we might go to text, we eventually get to phone and in-person and video. You got to go against the grain, you got to retrain your muscle and recognize that communication and connection happens in person the best, in video the second best, where we can see the nonverbal cues of our communication, and then all the way down to email. When you think about video, and I know even in the break there, I could hear people talking about this COVID world that we live in. We need to integrate our video into our phones and into our email clients and tweak all the settings to match our preferences so that it's just as natural as going to meet with somebody in person. Our company, we schedule every meeting as a video call, whether it's one-on-one or in a group. Unless somebody's going to go for a walk while they're on the phone, then they're going to be on video. And we resort to phone when necessary. Even our ad hoc calls are video chat. Because guess what? The video tricks the human brain to feel as if we are there together. It happens in the movie theater as we get sucked into the movie and into that story. And if you were looking at my video right now, your human brain would trick you, even if it's one way, to feel more connected to me than we do with it being separate. So then what about emails? Emails are so important. They are. Utilize emails as a way to memorialize a conversation or to talk about the next step. How about the rules of engagement around communication and team building? You create a great culture. This picture is one that I've lived before. It's one that I've caused before. And it brings me heartache because late night emails and weekend emails, team members and my employees have to read are not really the right way to operate. Those could have been scheduled to go out at 7 a.m. the next day or scheduled for Monday morning. But if you're on this call and you like to work at night or on the weekends, or each of you have different organizations that have different clocks, I get it. You work whenever you want. If you like staying up late after the kids go to sleep and writing emails, go for it. Don't hijack the personal time of other people on something that isn't mission critical or an emergency. And I can't imagine what mission critical emergency warrants an email. It's probably a phone call. So I've seen bosses that say, well, I send these emails on Sunday morning, but my employees don't have to read it. Give me a break. A Sunday morning email from a boss or an owner creates a culture of expected response. And you're afraid that buried in there might be something really important that can't wait. So when somebody says, hey, we need to dig into this mistake when we get to work tomorrow, why not wait until tomorrow to send it in the morning or schedule it to go out in the morning so that you don't have that employee on Sunday or whatever their day off is sitting there worried about this mistake and ruining their time with their family and overnight. We want the whole health of the human showing up to work each day. The next part of this is that quality matters. Video chat is not going away anytime soon. Quality matters in all of our communication. So for your video quality, center your face on the screen. Get a good webcam. Adjust your lighting. Practice the lighting with a coworker. The fun backgrounds are cool, but avoid them unless you're in a fun meeting. And then the audio quality, I urge you to get a high quality headset. These audio issues ruin communication. I'm wearing a very expensive headset right now, but I never have to press mute. Nobody ever says, Jeff, you're on mute, because it only picks up the conversation that's coming out of my mouth and not my kids or my coworkers or whatever. So get a good headset, because bad quality decreases the feeling of connection. That's plain and simple. Another video tip for you: when you stop sharing your video, have a nice picture of yourself smiling. So that way I'm not just looking at a name or some weird symbol. I still feel connected to you when I'm looking at a picture of you that's lighting up as you're not sharing your video. Next one we talk about is making it personal. We spend a whole lot of time working together, and it's imperative that we recognize the individual humanity and dignity of everyone around us, that we can connect on a meaningful level. Even a coworker's spouse and their family are also stakeholders in this organization, because they contribute to who's going to show up to work every single day. And I know that the better that I know my teammates, the better that we perform. I'm not saying we need to be friends. I just need to understand them. I need to be able to read them. I need to be able to know when to embrace them, when to push them, when to give them tough love, when to give them room. And when you treat your team members as fully formed adults, they rise to the occasion. They become the quality control policies and procedures can't quite cover. So I would encourage you in this one, every time that you're starting a small group meeting or a one-on-one meeting with somebody, do a check-in. Don't make this check-in about just their goals or work. It's a personal and a professional check-in, and you can use one or all of the next 4 questions to ask them about their personal and professional check-in. One is, how would you rank yourself right now, 1 to 10, 10 being the best, just to where are you at? The next question is really neat. What's giving you energy at home? What's giving you energy at work? Conversely, what's draining you? What's sucking your energy away from you? You're going to learn a lot about what that person is dealing with. You might even realize there's something going on in their family that is actually impacting their whole life, and you can start to respect and honor that differently. And then the last one, my favorite, what is life teaching you right now? Asking that question will be the game changer in the relationship. What is life teaching you right now professionally? What is life teaching you right now personally? That's a lot of questions maybe for every meeting, give it a shot, because that investment in people is an investment in culture and ultimately quality control. My last one for you is shared experiences. I was blessed to have gone to Texas A&M University, who gets this on a large scale, that shared experiences create a common bond, that this concept that from the outside looking in, can't understand it, and from the inside looking out, can't explain it. We have employed this tactic at our company every day since the day we started, and we do not have typical events or typical ways to embrace and care for one another. Instead, we throw events like I'm doing this week with our company's All Hands. It gives not just a transparent look into every part of our company, but it also allows for vulnerable, powerful, emotional journeys together as people share their reason why and their motivation. I got somebody that needs to mute if the organizers can find whoever's coughing. Thank you. I'm just pausing for a second. I'm having trouble hearing with the background noise from somebody who's not muted.
I'm muting all, but for some reason it's not.
All right, I'll do my best. Sorry, folks.
I think you can
anyway,
go ahead.
Oh, it's good. So going back to what I was saying, in a shared experience, people get to embrace a moment together that almost becomes their own vernacular, their own history, their own moment in time that they can look back on and be propelled from. We've done anything from having a U.S. congressman speak to our company 2 days ago, to hosting our own talent shows, to instead of just having your typical company happy hour where we all stare at the same screen drinking a beer, we brought in an improv troupe and scheduled all these details with them so that our team could laugh together for an hour, and they never forget those moments. So it doesn't have to be huge events either. We start off every single day with a meeting, a stand-up meeting, where everybody jumps on and we say, what's the one thing that we're going to focus on today that we're going to be great at? And we get to answer a fun or serious question of the day and get to know each other a little bit better. So again, this doesn't have to cost a lot of money. It just takes a little bit of effort to think outside of just pressing the button and having the next catered lunch that everybody's going to forget. Date, shared experiences, book clubs are an easy place to start with that. So these shared experiences, they're fun. They'd be meaningless without a deeper connection. We have a shared mission, vision, and purpose, and you should too. The team members that you work with should be aligned, and they should clearly understand how their work contributes to that greater vision. That way they can rally together to overcome obstacles and create a new reality together. Our company, we share. We are very transparent appropriately at the level that people are ready to handle. We also connect every single day over video, one-on-one, in small groups, and every week as an entire company. That leads to hard work where we create tremendous value, and we are relentless together about quality, because everybody here will say, this is my company. We have a great time as we grow together and impact our clients. So I'll challenge you that when you humanize your organizations, and you remember that every business and every process relies on humans operating at their best, you can create the kind of organizational culture that helps to drive better quality in your organizations. Thank you. Time. A lot of text popping up with potential questions. I'd love to answer.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Lots of questions, many comments. So one of those, how do you bring a team built in an old culture values to the new culture?
In an old culture values to the new culture. I guess maybe the question, if I'm trying to read between the lines, is really about maybe an old school way of thinking. I always compare it to like a bank or a set of lawyers in the 80s versus today. My advice to somebody, depending on where you are in the organization, is that cultural change can happen on the scoreboard. It can happen when you start to engage a small circle of people, right? Some influencers or a group to be involved in a new conversation where transparency is key, collaboration is key, and where the combined efforts of 2, 3, or 5 people is exponentially better than if those people all did the work on their own. And when you start to see not just the results, but also the joyful way at which people are able to approach work, that they wake up and say, I get to go to work today, not that I have to go to work today. It turns out most human beings, even the old school, want what you have, so they start to look for it. Really quick example of this that I think is so funny. When new employees get hired at our company, it's like a stopwatch that they come in my office and say, I don't think you know how to use Outlook right. I say, why? And they say, because I can see every single detail of your calendar, and I can for all of the other owners as well. And I say, welcome to 5. We got nothing to hide. And it is such a hard thing for people to grasp at first. When they get a taste of it, they never want to go back to a world where hoarding knowledge is seen as a source of power. You start to realize that sharing knowledge is a place that's powerful. Hope I answered that question.
Thanks, Jeff. Some are asking if you're hiring.
Reach out to me, absolutely. There's the website and there's my email address. I would love to talk to you. I did let me just share something real cool. I did a 2-day, anybody in the world can interview with us session a couple weeks ago and posted it through LinkedIn and some other places. And I had 25 conversations over 2 days. It's led to referral partners. It's led to 5 or 6 people that are deep into the throes of potentially getting on board, and it led to a bench of new relationships that we can engage in so that as we continue to grow, 5 has incredible people that we already know who can become part of this team.
Wonderful, thanks, Jeff. Then some of the questions, how do you deal with the naysayers or negative personnel? And there's a special question asking, how do you deal with the ones that don't want to turn on the video?
Yeah. So the naysayers and maybe people that are intentionally being a bad actor, that's an acute issue. If somebody is actually not a good fit for our culture or can't adhere to our core values, then we deal with them directly, but still with dignity. People get fired for performance and morality issues. For the people that are just having a hard time getting on board with it, we spend a tremendous amount of energy and effort investing in their growth. So it's a lot of one-on-one coachings, and then it becomes group coachings so that we can go through situations and replay the tape or have modeled behavior and be able to point to where a situation could have gone differently, but never in a public scolding way or in a, I care so much about your personal success that I want your family, when you leave work each day, to say, I'm so thankful that you work at 5. What was the second part of that question at the very end? Sorry. All right, well, I don't know what the second part of the question was, so you want to move on to the next one.
Oh, it was about people not wanting to share videos.
Oh, not share their videos?
Yeah. And there's also a question about privacy after that.
Sure. So I had some meetings this week that were private, and I was able to put private on my calendar, and nobody worries about that. I mean, part of it was for fun stuff. Part of it was because I had to have some tough people conversations. So it's still okay to be private. It's just that you stop all of the storytelling when people realize that you're not hiding anything. That if we're secretive about what's going on in an organization, whether it's good or bad, we might be secretive about things that aren't even that difficult. And just the secrecy creates this storytelling that people are telling themselves the stories, and it's always worse than the reality. So transparency turns out that you're giving the dignity and the adulthood of the people that work with you. People not turning on their videos, I do think for some people it takes a little bit longer to round that corner. What I would say is there isn't a single organization that isn't on video chat of some sort now, and it isn't going away. COVID's not going away. Even if we fix this COVID issue, people are realizing they don't have to jump on airplanes as often. They don't have to be in front of each other as often if they're able to connect in a way that is still meaningful. So I think you just get enough people, and if it takes them one at a time, to start feeling more and more comfortable to do your one-on-one coaching and make somebody share their video, walk them through, like, do you know what button to press next? Have you ever shared your screen? And we do little lunch and learns and trainings so that people can feel more comfortable using. We use the Zoom platform for all of their client presentations, and they don't have to feel like they're asking a question in front of 60 other people. They feel intimidated by the lack of knowledge somewhere. It's helpful.
Wonderful, thank you. A lot of people saying perfect presentation, awesome presentation, loving all the engagement rules and putting the human first. So thank you very much, Jeff, for taking this time in these 3 days that you are super busy with your all hands meeting.
A pleasure, and I'm available to anybody who wants to reach out. That's why my information is up.
Wonderful. Thank you. So Jeff will not be available when we finish, but again, you can contact him. This is his email address and the website. So you can find them on LinkedIn so that you can apply or simply ask questions.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Now we go back to Belinda.